There are candidates for superintendent. We have Mr. Davis and Mr. Van Sant. I will try to make sure each of you get your fair share of questions. You both will have 2 minutes for your opening remarks, 1 minute to answer, and 30 seconds to follow up and rebuttals, and 3 minutes for your closing remarks. I will give each candidate time to respond if they have been singled out with criticism. I'd like to invite each candidate to now take 30 seconds to introduce yourself to the audience. We're going to begin with Mr. Van Sant.
We have a 2-minute introduction, right? That was the rules I received in writing.
No, you read it, right?
I read it.
Just read it, right? So the answer is yes.
I get 2 minutes.
You got 2 minutes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Good evening. I stand before you tonight, a proud, humble, grateful product of the Clay County school system. My journey with our school system began in 1981 as a 5th grader, as my mother enrolled my younger sister and I in Keystone Heights Elementary. Not really fully realizing what was going on at 10 years old, my mother was terminally ill and only 3 years away from the end of her battle with cancer at the time. But what I realize fully now is that within the first few minutes of that meeting with the guidance counselor knew who the Van Sant children were. She introduced my mother and myself to my teacher. And for the next several years going through the Clay County school system, special care was taken with my family for the struggles that we were going through becoming a single-parent home. That really changed my life. It could have gone a whole lot of ways. 1988, fast forward a little bit, I graduated from the Clay County schools, entered the University of Florida, joined the Florida National Guard. 27 years later, I still serve in the Florida National Guard, and 22 years later, I married my college sweetheart. We celebrated our 22nd anniversary last Saturday. We have 2 sons, Luke and Wyatt, who I like to brag about, that are both in the Keystone area schools. That brings me to now. After serving on your school board for 14 years, I ran for superintendent 4 years ago and was honored with many of your votes and was elected to that office. I told you 4 years ago, if you elected me, I would work on our lagging graduation rate, work to get reading proficiency in elementary school up, and work to give kids real job skills so that they could get meaningful employment leading our system. I stand here before you tonight proud of our 3rd graders that are reading 8th in proficiency in the state of Florida. Our graduation rate has gone up 9.5% in these past 4 years.
Mr. Van Sant, time. Thank you very much. Mr. Davis?
So good evening. All right, here we go again. Good evening. Thank you. My name is Addison Davis, and I am a Republican candidate running for superintendent of schools in Clay County. To tell you a little bit about who I am personally and professionally, I've lived in Clay County for the last 13 years. I've been here, I live in Oakwood Plantation with my wife, Natalie Davis, for the last we've been married for the last 16 years. We have 2 daughters, Madison, who is 15 years old and attends Oakwood Senior High School. And we have Caitlin Davis, who will be attending Clay County schools next school year going into the 5th grade. We are active members of our community. We attend Elevate Life Church, and we run a nonprofit organization for female athletes. From my side professionally, education is something that I started from day one. I didn't back door into education. I got my master's degree in educational leadership, and I've been in education for the last 17 years. In that time, I've been a teacher, an assistant principal, a principal supervisor, a regional superintendent, and I am currently the chief of schools in Duval County Public School System, where I lead every facet of the school system. You may ask, why am I running? Well, the first reason is because if you see all these data sets, we are continuously declining in Clay County. And we have seen the decline from a top 10 school system to a number 20 in the state. On top of that, I'm running to restore the financial status of the school system from a local, state, and federal level. And at the same time, and more importantly, I'm running to rebuild the morale in our school system. Right now, there is no collaboration, there's no transparency, and more importantly, this is not teacher nor student-centric environment for our county. Anyone here has been touched by a teacher, raise your hand. If you've been taught, teachers are the most important things in our system. Let's give them a round of applause. This is for what you do. 7 years, in the last 4 years, work side by side with you, help you problem solve, decision make in order to elevate the experiences for you and more importantly for our students. My name is Addison Davis and I'm your next superintendent.
Did he mention your name? Well, did you say my name?
I did not say anything.
No, you can't remember. So, we're going to move on to the questions. Candidates, there have been a few concerns of impropriety and poor decision-making in the superintendent's office. Mr. Van Sant, we'll start with you. The Clay Today wrote an article which stated that your campaign was soliciting campaign support from the district administrators and principals since 2016 campaign began, and that their senior support staff have been contacting administrators in person, over the phone, and text messages giving them the option to either volunteer their time or money. If this information is true, do you see a conflict of interest or at best a level of coercion or abuse of power and position?
Well, I think if the Clay Today is going to completely fabricate stories, they should put the political disclaimer paid for and approved by whoever they're trying to support, but it certainly wasn't me. I spent a lot of time on the phone with a nice, what I thought was a nice young reporter, gave him a lot of context, and I'll tell the crowd what I told him. I would ask you to look at any previous school board member or superintendent candidate's campaign reports, anybody that runs for sheriff or any other organization, and see if there are not people that value their leadership in that organization that contribute. Mr. Davis has contributions from some of our teachers in his campaign report. He has $1,000 from the union president in his campaign report. He has $1,000 from the Union Political Action Committee in his report. Those are union dues that are paid directly subtracted from our teachers' paychecks that go into his campaign report. There's probably, I'm going to guess, I haven't counted, 15 or 20 out of 160 school administrators that have contributed to my campaign this time. 4 years ago, many of them contributed to my predecessor's campaign, and I wouldn't seek to stifle their political involvement one way or the other.
Time. Mr. Davis, you can either go on to answer this question in the vein I'm going to respond, and since your name was invoked in the response from Mr. Van Sant, you can either choose to rebuttal and or take my question. Okay?
So, Mr. Van Sant shouldn't be focused on who's giving me money, and more importantly, focused on the school system because it continues to decline. So I will say this, without a doubt, we are politicizing this position. When it is 11:30, my first debate at the Women's Republican meeting at 11:30, when you have 4 principals and the chief of staff at that meeting during the Florida State Assessment, who's covering the schools? You are politicizing principals. Principals should be focused on improving teaching and learning. They shouldn't be in a debate listening from Addison Davis. Maybe they should, but they would learn how to improve teaching and learning. The focus has to be...
Time. Mr. Davis, the question to you. What is your position on soliciting campaign funds from the very people who report directly to you? And will you establish a certain policy if you are elected to preclude this? And what precautions and procedures will a Davis administration put in place to prevent any appearance of coercion, abuse, or abuse of power?
Yes, I have no problem putting it in policy. You know, from Addison Davis, I lead 85,000 teachers and employees in my current role. I lead 160 principals, 235 APs, and so many different district personnel. I could ask them for money every single day, but I do not. It's unethical. I will save, from a leadership standpoint, Clayton County, I'll save a lot of money, so I'll never ask them for money. Only thing I ask them to do is support my leadership, and if they don't in 4 years after I'm appointed, then if they're a great leader and great principal and great teacher, then they support the candidate that they believe in most. I'm not about taking money from leaders who are not extended to me. I'm not going to lead intimidation, I'm not going to lead in fear. Their current leadership is. It is unethical, and more importantly, it's unprofessional. I will never ask an administrator or a teacher for money for personal gain, or more importantly, to endorse my campaign.
Mr. Van Sant, we're going to touch on the issue of consideration. Earlier this week, the county announced that the county's high school open house, with the exception of Keystone Heights, where you happen to reside, which which for all intents and purposes is a day that the superintendent race is, which is August 30th. Since this announcement, because of the many phone calls and complaints that the county office received, the date was changed. This decision has given the appearance of inconsideration and poor judgment to parents. What explanation do you give to parents for this decision being made in the first place? And if reelected, how would you reassure parents that they will be a factor to consider in future decisions like this?
Well, again, Lieutenant Governor, I'll just tell you the truth. I have not ever said, as a board member or a superintendent, open house night. That came out of the instructional division. I don't know why Keystone's was different. I think the junior highs were allowed some more latitude, and that's the junior, senior high, but that was really nothing that I did one way or the other. When I found out about it, I said, well, just change it if it's a big deal. But again, I think the whole thought process is really one of paranoia after 10 days of early voting, absentee voting, and scheduling open houses at 6:30 at night on the very last day somebody could vote when the polls close at 7. I mean, truly, the instructional division is not a lot of politically involved people that I'm aware of, and I just don't think it was thought of one way or the other, nor did I give any input into the decision. I was out of the office that day, my deputy superintendent said, fine, change it, and it got changed, and by the end of the day, I found out about the whole thing, and it had already been fixed, but I don't know that it was ever really broken, because that's never something, according to my staff, that the superintendent's ever been involved with.
Thank you. Mr. Davis, how would your administration be considerate of parents in looking at this situation, and what will you do to measure that the things that you put in place will reassure parents of your consideration?
Yeah, so I'm going to answer the question that he got. So as a superintendent, you own everything. So this is passing the buck to someone else. You own everything as a leader. You should be involved in every decision that you make. In our school system, it's not the curriculum instruction. It's Addison Davis, the superintendent of Clay County. It's my decision. This is another example of disfranchising our community, and another example of not giving time and care to say, you know what, we care about you, we support you, but guess what? Keystone, you go vote, but at the end of the day, everyone cannot. It is disrespectful to blame that on employees. Sir, you run the district. You own this decision. As superintendent, I will make sure I engage you. I listen to your voice, and we identify collectively on what's working, what's not, and what we can do differently. I'm here because I care about kids. I'm not here. Those numbers, if they're mine, I would own them. But I would call all of you in a room, faith-based partners, community members, teachers, and we would problem solve to identify how we can elevate these experiences. As community members, these are unacceptable. Okay, it is time for a proven educator to lead this district.
Mr. Davis, recently the 2015-2016 preliminary district school grades were released by the Florida Department of Education. While surrounding counties remained the same and did not lose ground, the Clay County School District has dropped again. It is a B district and is now ranked 20th in the state of Florida as it relates to the state's accountability system. Clay County has always been a school district ranked in the top 10. What specific steps will you take to improve the status of Clay County school system? How would your plan raise the performance of the lowest achieving students without neglecting the highest performing students as well as those who fall in the silent middle?
Yes, ma'am, thank you. If you're an educator, please stand up. Please stand up. How can we ever elevate a system if you're not valued? The first thing we do is take care of these folks and give them some love. That's the first thing we do. The teacher is the most important aspect in order to accelerate student achievement. So we've got to take care of it. We've got to incentivize them. We've got to give them the necessary tools to be successful and resources. The other thing is we've got to provide professional learning that's aligned to the new standards. We've got to make sure that everything that we do as we select our curriculum, that our curriculum addresses the new standards and at the same time allows our students to grow intellectually, emotionally, and socially. So the way we do it is we build capacity, instructional capacity of our teachers. We build the leadership capacity of our leaders in our schools. So they're instructional leader, they're a culture builder, they're a talent manager, so they have the ability and skill set to move. But more importantly, we've got to engage our teachers and our support staff and our community members and not only develop the whole child, but more importantly, develop the whole family.
Since under your watch we've seen this downward slope, what measures do you have that you will be putting in place to implement and improve Clay County school grades?
Well, Lieutenant Governor, I respectfully disagree with the premise of your question. Here are the real statistics. Clay County school system in 10-11, I think, was 10th one time. They're not ever have been consistently in the top 10. However, in the last 4 years, our graduation rate has gone up 9.5%. In the second round of FSA testing, the new test that we have for 15-16, Clay County students ranked in the top 10 in the state of Florida in 10 of 22 measured areas. In 10 of 22 measured areas, our teachers brought our students into the top 10 of Florida. Duval County is in the top 10 of 0 categories in Florida. A student graduating from a Clay County school is 6 times more likely, based on the last 8 years of data, to receive an industry certification or job skills to get on grade level and get a good job. Last year, our third graders went from 11th to 8th in the state in reading proficiency, while Duval went from 45th to 48th. So it's great to hear your questions and the opposition's answers, but there's a whole lot of facts just getting left out here so far.
Thank you. Mr. Davis, your name was not invoked in that.
I just want to talk.
No, you can't. This will be the last question. Time is just rolling by so fast here. But Ms. Davis, question for you. What is your experience in managing the school system, physical plant, including buses, and what would be your top priority in that area?
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry. I'm going to answer his question, but so when he does his data, he's got to understand that 18 schools in Clay County decreased this year. 18 schools, lack of leadership. But let's talk about 17 schools may remain the same. Let's talk about Duval County. When we talk about Duval County, because he brought it up, but look at this. 90% of D's and F's went up. We had 21 F's, now we had 6. That means we elevated. You can't speak to that. So we talk about elevated experiences. 4 of the 6 big areas in Clay County decreased, Mr. Superintendent. So when we talk about apples to apples, we've elevated the experience. 75% of our schools are A, B, and C's. Don't mind you the fact that I serve 120,000 students in 160 schools. All that to say, we moved from 39 to 32nd. You've moved from your leadership in what, 12 to 20. That's a decrease. That's a spiral down. The data says itself. Kane, can you hold that sign up? That's the sign that tells it all. When we talk about apples to apples, we've improved. This is the sign. We're 20th in the state. Duval County is right behind you, and we have 120 students in higher complexity.
Time.
Sure. I left out one important statistic out of Duval County. They are leading the state in number of schools in the bottom 300. I think they have 33 in the bottom 300. 44 of Mr. Davis's 160 schools, I think, are D and F, about a quarter of them, maybe 28%. So in Clay County, that's the result. Do I have another question?
No.
Okay.
Well, actually, you did have a question. That's fine. Thank you very much. I appreciate you bringing it back. I wanted to stay here a little bit. But Mr. Van Zandt.
Sure.
Yes.
He did say, he said Mr. Davis. Guys, it's very simple. I'm tired of reading the paper. I'm tired of reading everything that's about adults. When did you get a chance to think about kids? When we're reading about politicizing principals, politicizing people, asking for money, the school grades going down. We're reading about, August 30th. When are we going to start reading about the great things that Clay County students are doing this summer? And what are we doing for next year? We're not going to read about it because we're not an educator and we don't know how to improve teaching and learning. But when are we going to get to a point where we get someone who's not eligible, but more importantly, someone who's qualified?
Time. particularly in the Oakley Plantation area?
With all of our school rezoning, we have a very thorough process that we follow. It includes calling, it includes writing letters to parents of children who are potentially going to be rezoned. It includes town hall meetings with those families in those areas that could be affected. This year, the rezoning that happened in Clay County, every family that had a student rezoned to a new area was talked to personally by me or one of my staff members. And that's the process. It's very open and transparent. And just to hit on the budget question that came up in the school board member section, that budget is online. You can go to any of our school board meeting agendas online where the budget is discussed. And every school board meeting, the monthly financials are there. So they are very, very simple to get to, and it's a very, very transparent process.
Thank you very much. Well, we've come to an end. Man, it's been hot up here. Candidates, it's time for closing statements. So, Mr. Davis, we'll begin with you. We have 3 minutes.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I want to thank everyone. I'm sorry, I'm coming down here with you because I don't follow rules very often when it comes to school. Yes. So thank you for being here this evening. It means a lot because you could be somewhere else Thursday night hanging out with your families and friends. You got so much to do. But you're here because you're committed to education. You're here because everything matters. And, you know, I said in my last debate, the ball is in your court. Okay? If you have a decision tonight and going on the next 30, 40 days to really make sure that you do your homework and make it a data-driven decision where you find a qualified candidate. Everyone, if you have a fan, raise it up. If you have a fan, raise it up. And I didn't bring these fans. And turn around and look at it. Everybody look at the fan. It has an A marked out and it has a B written on the fan. That is disrespectful to our county and it's unacceptable. If you want an A-rated system, give me a hand clap. If you want an A-rated system. That's it, man. And what it's going to take is someone to problem solve. What it's going to take is someone to get in the weeds and pull up their sleeves and work side by side with you. Someone who's going to be transparent. And more importantly, someone who's going to build a robust educational system where people want to flee to Clay County. We have got to press the reset button. It is time to get a true educator. It is time to get someone in here who understands how to accelerate student achievement. I'm excited about being here. I'm very passionate, as you can see. I'm very passionate because I love what I do. But now it's time for change. I'm not going to be the last time the superintendent interacted with the teachers when he walked into a classroom 90 days and asked for a vote. I'm going to be in the classroom, help the problem solve, help to figure out what's working so that we can get better. I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so very much. I apologize that my wife and my daughter's going to be here. They're in Atlanta in a softball tournament, but they're here with me spiritually, and you know, I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to be having the opportunity to lead. My name is Addison Davis, and I'm your next superintendent.
Good evening again. I'm Charlie Van Zandt. I am your superintendent of schools. I grew up in Clay County. It's been my life's honor to serve you in many capacities as a teacher, as a school board member, as a superintendent of schools, as a soldier, as an officer. I've represented you here and abroad. I've represented our families. And I love Clay County, and I love our families. That's why I do what I do. This school system embraced my family early on, and I have no desire to do anything else professionally than be the superintendent of schools in Clay County, Florida. Through 3 trips to the desert and back while I was missing my family, I was thinking about the greater families in Clay County and the freedom that the military was protecting around the world, and I was proud to serve in that. During my last deployment in the 2010-2011 winter sitting in Afghanistan, we were snowed in for a week. I was with the 20th Special Forces group, and we were running no missions. Snow was about chest high. And I looked at the school board meeting agenda online. We had great internet. Special Forces guys had the best of everything. And I'm an aviator. I'm not a Special Forces guy, so don't print that. But I was with them, And I looked and I saw where we were again spending money in the middle of a recession that we did not have. And that day I called my wife and I said, you know, I'm not getting to sleep much right now, but if I get home and we think and pray about this as a family for a few days, I believe we're going to run for superintendent of schools in 2012. I get home, we run successfully. It was a hard campaign. You honored me with your support, and I'm your superintendent now. But for 5 years before I took office, it was tough. Not one balanced budget came to the school board to vote on. It's the superintendent's job to bring the school system a balanced budget to the board to vote on. We didn't have one for 5 years. We had no professional development in the Clay County school system aligned to anything, the old standards, the new standards. Teachers weren't being supported. They were all doing their own thing. I love our teachers. We have a very low attrition rate in Clay County. In fact, the last year it was recorded, only 7% of teachers left the profession in Clay County. In the same year, 15% left out of Duval County. So I don't think our morale is a real big problem either. But, you know, there are those that are loud and are afraid to have their own opinions. Last Friday out walking, I had a teacher driving the truck with me that's on summer break. About 15 or 20 people opened their doors. 2 of them happened to be teachers, both put signs for me in their yard. So we have a lot of support, not just with the administrators, but with teachers and with everyday folks in Clay County. My name is Charlie Van Zandt. I'm honored to serve as your superintendent, and I would appreciate your vote on August 30th or one of those 10 days before.
Thank you, Mr.